I do want to preface this video by saying that any drug use mentioned in this video is strictly for informational purposes. This is stuff that I have done in my past. I do not recommend or condone the use of any legal or illegal substances. Hey, what's up? Your local shaman. So like I said in my last video, this video is going to be a more in-depth thing about what exactly me and my buddies are trying to do with our journey. I'm going to be giving a definition of what source is and also what shamanism is and how I plan on achieving these things. So, without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. Let's start off with source. We'll talk about source for a minute. So source it's this kind of universal, all-knowing, sentient knowledge and energy. Source is everything. It's in everything. It's without everything. And it's just there. Reconnecting to source it's not reconnecting to a place so much as it is reconnecting to the epitome of the higher self. And it's not just one personal higher self. It's, like I said, it's the epitome of higher self. It's everyone and everything that exists. And I don't know, it's a very interesting thing when you think about it, because it's not separate from us. On the contrary, it is us, you know? We've just forgotten it over the many, many years that we've been on this planet. And to reconnect with that is something that can actually be really difficult to do, especially if you didn't even know it existed before, like me. And that actually brings us to the next bit here, which is how me and my friends aim to reconnect with source and help guide others to reconnect with it as well. So, sorry. So, pretty much what we've been doing is we just pretty much what we do is we will trip. At the moment, I've only really used LSD for this purpose. Some of my friends have made leaps and bounds of progress with DMT. They've made a lot of progress that kind of makes me feel a little inadequate, but that's just because I started a bit later than them, you know? They've got like 2-3 years on me at this point, which is okay. Everyone has their own pace. And So what we do is we trip, and we go into the trips with the intentions to either work on ourselves or take what we've already worked on and revisit it and see how we can use these things that we have developed to bring us closer to source. It's a really rough progress at times, because we don't really, none of us have really known exactly where to start, or even knew that this was the path that we were putting ourselves on. It just kind of happened. I met these guys on a Discord server, and we just started talking, and then I understood a lot of what they were talking about already. So we decided, why not work on it together? Shared experiences. That's what we've been doing. And then it gets a bit trickier when you try to guide other people towards the same thing, because everyone has their own mindset, everyone has their own stuff up here that they're really, stuck with. They think that's the only way to think about it, and they get kind of worried or scared that they have to give that up to reconnect to source, which it's actually the opposite. There's not all these different paths you have to go down, and you don't have to give up the way you think about things to do this. What you have to do is accept the fact that there is one path, and where you are in that path gives you a certain perspective of it. It may seem like there's tons of different paths to go down, and you may not know which one to choose. And in that case, I give you the advice of continue down the path you're on. Because at some point down that path, you're going to realize it's always been one road that you're traveling down. It's always been one road, and it always will be. And you don't have to give up your ideals or your beliefs, because you can actually merge those with this mindset that we have now, and you can piggyback them off of each other. It's really interesting to see, actually, the fact that I can somewhat use the intellectual knowledge that I have to find a way to translate and articulate certain concepts and ideas that I've discovered over the last few months of doing this in a way that other people can understand. And I didn't have to give up those ideals. I didn't have to give up my thought processes. I just had to learn how to make them work with what I was learning. And I found that it really does go hand in hand, the knowledge you already have with the knowledge that you're being allowed to view. And it's a really cool process to go down and to see yourself doing. And you don't really see it at first. You really don't. You start out and you're just going and you're going, and then all of a sudden you look back and you realize how far you've come already. And you're like, wow, I've come this far already, and I'm barely breaking the tip of the iceberg, you know? Like, what else is there? And it's almost addicting to be going through this process like this. It's borderline addictive because it's a lot of fun. It's really, really tough work sometimes because you have to, you're constantly working, constantly fighting these urges that don't serve you anymore and that will actually hinder your progress. But it's so much fun because of the stuff you get to learn and the stuff that you get allowed to experience. And what me and my friends aim to do as we go along this is we aim to connect with as many people as possible and get as many people, you know, with us and behind us and guide them to reconnect with Source. Because I personally think, and most of us as well think, that that's what we should be doing. You know, that's the next step. We are literally evolving our consciousness, is weird word, as we go. And at some point, we're going to hit a point where things are going to get really interesting really quick. And it's going to be so sick. But for now, we have to lay the groundwork. With that being said, I'd like to say one more thing about Source, kind of just to help get a bit of a visual, conceptual idea of what it is before I move on to the shamanism. And that's how Source has been described throughout the different belief systems and by different people. Some people consider it God. Some people call it God. Some call it nirvana. Some call it the connected oneness. But it's really all one thing. And it just, you know, it's there and it has so much to offer that at this point we're not even too sure what all it has to offer and what we can do once we reconnect with it. But I'm really excited to see where this goes. And now we're going to get into the topic of shamanism and how I plan to achieve the role of a shaman and why actually I even want to do this. I'm not going to go too in depth on the why I want to do this, but I will tell you a little bit. Give me just a moment. Trying to quit these things. It's gonna happen. Bit of a long process though. But anyways, on to shamanism. Shamans and shaman culture have been around for thousands of years at this point. I'm gonna throw a definition up here. It's going to be somewhere in here about what a shaman is and what shamanism itself is. But they've been around for thousands of years, and they must be doing something right because they, to this day, continue to help people and do the things that they've been doing and it works. They guide spiritual growth and healing in a way that no one else on this planet can or has done. And I feel that that's the best way to perform service to self, is through service to others. That's what they do. Most shamans get nothing from what they do. They do it just to help their people, just to help people in general, because that's their path. That's what they're supposed to be doing. You know, they were born to do that. And I feel the same way. Ever since I was really young, I've had an ability to go a bit further than most empaths, to really tap into people's emotions and see their memories. And it was really rough, my teenage years, living with that, because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening. I had no control over it. All I could do was hope that I could find a way to shut it off so I didn't have panic attacks every time I walked down the hallway in school, you know? And as I grew older, I mean, I'm only 21 right now, but as I grew older, I started looking into it. I discovered that it's a natural ability, that not only can you be born with this ability, you can develop it consciously. And you can learn to control it and learn to use it for whatever means you want. And I've always felt that I was born to help people. I was born to be a helper, to be a healer. I just never knew how I'd be able to do it until I stumbled upon shamanism, and especially the term ayahuasca. When I first heard the term ayahuasca about a year and a half ago, I immediately began to feel a call to it. Mother Aya has been calling me for a year and a half now. And at first I thought it was just a call to come be healed by her. To have my trauma, you know, healed, to be shown how to fix what is wrong with me. And then as I began my journey to reconnecting with Source, I started listening a bit more to that call, and I realized that not only was it a call to come be healed by Mother Aya, it was a call to come help guide the healing of others through Mother Aya. And that's my goal, is to go become an ayahuasca shaman and use my gifts for good, to help people, to help heal them, and work hand in hand with Mother Aya. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm hoping that next year I can save up the money to go to an ayahuasca retreat in Peru. And after I do that, the goal is to, you know, do a bit of traveling, you know, go experience some of the world for a couple years, you know, just kind of do my thing. And then when I feel ready, when I think it's time, I'm going to move to Peru and go study under an ayahuasca shaman and learn the ways. Until that time, while I'm doing my traveling, while, you know, I'm doing whatever, I am going to be doing a lot of self-work, working with my chakras, my my energy fields, everything that I need to do to get myself in a place where I will be able to best benefit the people that I want to help. And along the way, I hope to gain as many shamanistic attributes as I can, to learn some skills that I can use to pick up on these skills. And the best way that I have found to do that as of now is pretty much a trial and error kind of process. What I like to do is I trip sit people who I can tell need some form of healing, who need their trips guided. And I let them know beforehand, hey, I'm probably going to do this and this. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with your trip being guided? It may not be a lot of fun at times, but you're going to be very appreciative after. And most of the time they say yes. They give consent. They tell me, yes, that sounds wonderful. That's actually what I have been looking for. So we set up a time for us to get on a voice or video chat, and I sit down with them, and I play certain music to guide the trip, which is very, very beneficial. That's one of the biggest things of this whole process, is the music. The music sets the tone of the trip. The music controls the trip and where it goes and how it's going to go down. And then depending on what they need, I either become a mirror and let them bounce whatever they need to bounce off of me and back to them. Or I will present them with ideas and let them, kind of process those ideas and work through them, and see where it takes them. And if something doesn't work, and it consistently doesn't seem to work, then I take that and I just throw it away, because it's not beneficial. It doesn't do anything. It's not needed. And if something does work and it consistently works, I take it and I start implementing it, not only with other people, but with myself during my trips. And I do like to also, generally I will smoke some weed, or I'll take like a half a tab or something, just to get in that same kind of headspace, to kind of feel where the trip is going, and, kind of see where they're at, and, really be able to tap into what's going on with them as well as possible. It's a very interesting process to see. I've done this with a few people now, and they've come out more or less better people than they went in, because, I guided them into it and guided them through it, and, showed them what was possible and what they were already capable of doing, what they already knew. And I check in consistently after the trip, and I check how they're doing. I help them with some things that they might be confused about or not sure what to do with, and then from there it's on them, whether or not they want to put in the work, whether or not they want to do what's necessary to move forward and continue to grow. And a lot of people, actually, when you do stuff like this, they tend to want to know what else there is. They want to know what more there is, how deeper it goes. To which I usually tell them, it goes deeper than you can even imagine. If you want to know, we can go there. Join this Discord server. Me and my buddies will sit down with you and we'll do a group trip. We'll take you deep. We'll show you what's really there and just how far you can go. And that piques their interest. It's human nature to want to explore the unknown and know what's out there. And once they get a taste, they're hooked. They want to continue the process. They want to go as deep as possible. Eventually, they want to reconnect with Source. And it's kind of just, at that point, it's just a self-feeding cycle of, growth, wonder, and curiosity, and then they realize they don't know as much as they thought. So they start growing even more. They hit that wonder and curiosity again, learn some, realize they didn't know as much, and it just continues. And we're just there to facilitate, to guide, pretty much, share the knowledge that we have learned up to this point, and the knowledge that we continue to learn. And eventually, they start picking up on things that we weren't even trying to really teach them or show them, It's just stuff that we would be talking about between ourselves while these people are in the voice chat with us. And it'll be weeks, it'll be a month or so after something like this has happened. Just a regular day-to-day conversation that we were having, and we'll be sitting there talking with some of the people that were in that voice chat, and we'll be, discussing something and kind of stumped about something, and the person will just pop off some insane, deep, universal knowledge, and we're like, what the hell? When did you learn that? I didn't. Oh, you sneaky boy, It's really funny, actually. It's happened to me a few times, and it just kind of it kind of just shell shocks you at first, because they're picking up on it and they're actually understanding what we're saying. And it's wonderful to see, because we're actually making progress, or we're making, impressions on these people that they're holding, It's so neat. It's really so neat. Alright, well, that's about as much as I got up in this noggin right now. I'm gonna leave you guys. Your local shaman, signing off once again. Much love and good vibes to you.